Well, James, I'm so happy that you've decided to spend some time with us and to share some of your wisdom, and especially at a moment like this. And what I know is a lot of people know that you are one of the world's best, if not the world's best, psychic mediums on the planet. And you're also a phenomenal spiritual teacher. I mean, I'm a spiritual teacher, but I learn every time that I'm around from you and are around you. So how has spirituality and your spiritual path helped you live your best life? How has that impacted you?
Wow, you're throwing so much at me at once, Karen. First of all, I shaved the mustache for an audition. By the way, people that are looking at me, who is this guy? Because in
Okay.
35 years, I'm freezing. I didn't get the part, so I'm growing it back. Um, there's a lot there. So, wow. A psychic medium, yeah, I guess that's my title. An intuitive, someone who's connected with the spirit world. And you can be, just because someone's a medium, this is very interesting. A lot of people don't realize this. Just because someone calls themselves a medium, where they're known on television as a medium, doesn't necessarily mean they're spiritual. So just because you're a medium, you're not spiritual. And there are many, many, many out there that are not. And that's fine. That's just where they're at. It's just where they're at. For me, I just was made that way. I was just made that way, maybe growing up in a religious background, I grew up Catholic, I was a big priest, there was a sense of service and so forth. And I've always had that sense, and maybe from that Catholic background, of treating the other person as you want to be treated. And I think I said I was bullied as a kid, and I think that helped to foster another sense of caring and loving and so forth. Because sometimes the hardest things we go through are the things that teach us the most. And I just think that from the work I've done with the spirit world for 40 years now, every message I get, there's truth, there's honesty, there's truth, there's an inkling, there's something I have to learn. You never stop learning. So I've been so incredibly the deposit of all this great information from spirits from all different levels, if you will. So after this for so many years, there's a commonality that comes through most of the messages, which is very similar to what I've heard in many spiritual churches, and most religions have these tenets about them as well, which is the golden rule: treat another person as you want to be treated. Your thoughts are things you create with your thoughts. No, we live in the world of the illusion. We're not separate, really, actually one, and this is an illusion. We live in many, many dimensions all at once. We're aware of this three-dimensional world, but there's many, many more levels. And I just guess that sense of faith when I was young. 24 years old, I was going to be a sitcom writer in Hollywood, and was working in Hollywood and doing that. And I had a medium said, "You're going to talk to dead people for a living." I said, "This guy's crazy." And he said, "You're going to have to help change the consciousness of the planet." And I was like, "This guy's really nuts." And sure enough, a year later, I was at a job, and I saw a girl's dead grandmother stand behind her, gave a very specific, detailed message. And from that moment on, my life changed, because I could never go back to the everyday life knowing that there was a connection of something beyond the physical. And it made sense to this woman. And it was a test of faith for me, because the spirit world was testing me. We're tested every day. And it was a test if I believed in my faith, my intuition, myself, or to go to that 9 to 5 illusion of success of Hollywood and so forth. And I knew that the message was so powerful, that love that grandmother brought through for her granddaughter was so strong, that, wow, if I could be the conduit for that, I want to do that for the rest of my life. I don't think there's any greater work. So to me, that started it all. And in the work, again, this is my way of doing it. Every medium is different, but I believe that you have to learn from every experience. And I believe you have to keep yourself very grounded, very humble, because you always have to learn. And I believe that everyone can teach you something. People who, from all different levels, they can teach you something. And you have to be willing to learn, to be willing to be open and learn, and be humble enough to receive it. I'm so humble when I realize there's such a worlds and galaxies and planets and universes than just this one. So I'm just a small speck. But spirituality to me is my bread and butter. It's how I live my life. It sustains my life. It's people mix up with religion and spirituality. Religion, I guess religion would be the laws, I guess. You probably know better than I would. Spirituality is the essence. I just, if I have a religion, I'd say, my first religion, I'd say, was Science of Mind, the very first one. And that was on a bus in Hollywood going to a job. And so the Science of Mind Church is, I want to go see what that is. And so I found out about Science of Mind. But it stayed in something within my innermost core said, this stuff is right. What I'm reading here is right. And also I was reading Sinclair, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, all these same things of the right way of thinking, the right way of creating with your thoughts, your visualization. And I just knew it was right. So that would be my religious, if that was religion. But really, it's about love. It's about love. It's about, I get excited every day about what someone's going to teach me that day, what I can teach them that day. So I guess that's the answer. Long answer.
Love that. Yeah, that's a great. Oh, thank you, James. And you know what I can reflect back to you from the times that I've had the pleasure of being with you is you are humble and you are grounded and you're grounded in that love and everywhere you go, your presence is felt. I mean, when we went out and had lunch the last time we were together, when you were here in Dallas, I mean, your presence is felt before we even walk into the restaurant. And that's one of the reasons why I love to be around you. And it is that sweeping power of love, you know, that you're speaking of, and to be humble and to learn from people. And I learn from you. And we can learn from every single person. So I love that about you. So
I think Karen, you said about the love, the presence of my presence. One thing I taught early on, which I still do, which is really, once you keep on, as you know, teaching things for a while, you take it on yourself. But I always told my students and everyone in my workshops, you know, when you meet somebody, try to change the energy. If they're having a hard day, tough day, bring it to love, bring it back to love. So let's say you're at Starbucks and you waiting line, you say to the person, oh, I love that beautiful green apron on you. That's beautiful. Or your eyes are so nice. Take a time out to give them some love because it'll really change them. And I think I do that automatically now. And I think that's what, and I love that feeling of helping somebody out. And then they'll tell a coworker and a coworker tells someone else. Love, that's what we got to do. We got to spread the word. You know, so I think I'm part of that.
My favorite spiritual practice is to be love and pass it on. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Great. So if you think about spiritual practices or spiritual tools that you use that like sort of, do you have one or two that's your go-to?
I have a bunch.
Okay. Well, tell us some, because people want to learn and understand this stuff. And
well, you know, I'm a crazy person, so you know it's a little different. But the go-to really for me is, and it really is gardening. I go back to earth. I go back to nature. And what I do is I have a lovely dog. Love my doggie. And dogs teach us, animals teach us so much. So it goes to that, teaching me so much. And then when I take a walk in nature, I just tune into the prana, the energy of every leaf, every tree, and the gratitude I have. And that's what I do is it's a mindful walk. So mindfulness, it's a mindful walk. Every day I do that. And it becomes second nature. You know, it becomes second nature. When I water my garden, I only water when they say I need water. I can hear them say I need water. When you're so in tune with nature, you'll know these things. People say to me, God, your house, your landscape, you had a designer do this? I'm like, no, I did this. They told me where the plants told me what they want to go there and there. And I said, it was easy. He's like, wow. But that's how it works. You know, that's how it works. So a mindfulness walk or be mindful. I also do attempt to see how I can change people in a positive way each day. So whether it's a call to the credit card company and saying, you know, my balance is off or this charge is not great, you'll inevitably get a phone bank in India or the Philippines or something. And now there's an opportunity. There's a great opportunity. Am I going to be really angry and upset like most people? Or is this a great opportunity to teach love, show love, and share love with this person who's sitting in this, probably this, you know, behind this desk with his phone bank for 8-12 hours, who really working really hard, talking to strangers who are not happy most of the time. So I use that to change them. I say, "Hi, what's your name? Where are you from?" "I'm from Philadelphia." I said, "You're not from Philadelphia." "No, you're from India." So, "Yes, I'm from Delhi." "Oh, tell me about Delhi. I haven't been there." And you take a human interest in them, and they feel that, the heart to heart, you know. So I do that. I look for the opportunities to do that every day. I really do wear my heart in my sleeve. And even though some people say you shouldn't, I can't help it. I just do. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, I'd rather be known for that than not. So those two things, really big things. And then I laugh at myself every day. I laugh with me every day. I joke with myself. And those are the three things that I do. And you know the laugh part.
I witnessed that as well.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. All right. So, we're sitting in an unprecedented time. Certainly, a lot of people would say things that none of us have been through in our lifetime. And I'm curious what, if anything, are the spirit guides sort of saying about this pandemic time, this time where, we have almost 8 billion people on the planet, and right now we're pretty isolated from one another, for a good part, all over the world. What are they saying about what this time is about?
Wow. Well, it goes on to something much bigger, I think. Um, I don't think this just happened, this pandemic. I think it was created. I think it was created, and I think we created it in our own way. I think we have to start, and I think there's been some great opportunities coming from this. I really do believe there'll be great opportunities. Number one, we're getting to learn more about Zoom and seeing each other this way. And where when the telephone was really big when it was discovered, we started using, now we're using this. So things are changing and interpersonally this way. So that's going to change things. The way we do business, the way we communicate will be different. And the phone, you just hear the voice, and you can see someone. I think there's opportunities all over the place. I think how we treat ourselves, how we treat one another. Every day there's opportunities to treat people with love and respect, and to help people and serve people. Um, I think we got to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that I think that we come back to this earth as souls, and we are souls that are trying to grow up. We're souls that come here all different levels. So it might be nursery school, kindergarten, middle grade, high schoolers, graduates, postgraduates, master. So we have all these different souls here that come back to help each other to move up, to evolve. And there might be some that have not yet learned about what responsibility is. Yeah. And I believe that in life there's only two things, love and fear. And love is about each other, and fear is about self. So when one is in fear, one tends to be self-centered because they tend to be more about fear, about themselves, worrying about themselves, they're going to survive, and so forth. With love, you're about someone else. You're looking outside yourself. I think that we have to. It's going to force us to change our values. It's going to force us to change the globally how we interact with each other globally. For instance, if the states indeed started in the meat that meat market, the wet market, then we have to look at how we treat animals and how we treat the conditions of those markets. They shouldn't be like that. Who are we as human beings to treat animals, to treat each other like that? That's going to change, and it's bound to happen. When we have conditions like that, something will a pandemic will happen. It has to. So we have to force ourselves globally to look and see what our responsibilities are as far as conditions that we're living in. We're choosing to live in. What we choose, we will experience. And I think it's calling to task all that. It's calling to task our responsibility to globally to each other. I think it's definitely questioning governments, our government for sure. Things are happening left and right, and people are like, whoa. I mean, yeah, really, it's pretty amazing. I think on a global level, it'll really, I think it's going to bring us together at a global level. I really do. And I think you're going to see a lot of people either shine or go down. Not much middle ground, but shine or go down. And I think, astrologically, there's a lot of stuff happening right now. There's a lot of stuff happening with Neptune, and the secrets are revealed, and all these things come to pass. So there's a lot happening astrologically. But I do feel it's going to be a global experience bringing us together. And it's just a matter of how we can handle being with ourselves, which I think is kind of fabulous because it's forcing us to go within. And that's someplace you'll find the answers within yourself. So I find it very funny that people, I understand the cabin fever thing, but I find it very funny that people can't be with themselves for a long period of time. I find that people ask me and say, oh, I love it. It's fabulous. And I love the quiet. Because when I used to write books, I used to write at night because it was not a phonetic energy. But now I can write during the day because there's a nice quiet. I like the peace. I like the opportunities of families getting together and knowing each other more. They do things they would never do before. So there are positives out of this as well. And positives as far as maybe someone treats someone pretty bad. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in politics even. Or even some kind of way being paid, unemployment. So things got to change, and throughout the bad, there'll be something good coming out of it. There'll be something good to change, reform certain programs we have, reforms in government policies we have, and hopefully get a president. And so hopefully there'll be positive things coming out of it. But I do think this is something which we're bound to happen. It was a big change. This is the big change that we talked about in the year 2000, 2000, Y2K. I think this was it. And it's just, life will never be as we knew it. Well, and but I think we have to look at the positive parts of it as well, not just stay in the negative, because if you can look at the negative, you're going to draw that to you.
Right.
You want to magnetize that to you. You want to magnetize the positive.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about that all the time. Look for the good.
God says yes, the ego says no. So let's go to the God self.
Yeah. Look for the good, look for the good, praise the good, keep looking for the good expands. Yeah, you brought up really some significantly important things, and that being able to be with oneself. You know, there was a time 10 or so years ago, I could not be with myself. I didn't want to be with myself. I didn't like being with me. And going through breast cancer and certain things in my life helped me really open up to love me fully and wholly. And so that I actually enjoy this extrovert does like the company that she keeps with me.
You got to force you to see yourself in a different light.
Yes. And so I really trust, like you're saying, some people are even if they're in the discomfort, they're having to rest in that discomfort and wrestle with it. And then I trust it for them. It's going to open up and really help them to be with themselves. And when, as you said, when we can be with ourselves, then we can be with others a lot better. And that's one of the issues. We have problems with other people. Is we have problems with ourselves, and we're projecting it on every single person around us.
I agree with you. I think that I think people are having. Yeah, let's talk about that just for a little bit. I think it's very interesting because you have people here on this planet, these souls, were forced to be in their own habitat, and it's forcing them to look into their own lives. No doubt about it. But and maybe their spirituality, or maybe life will be over tomorrow. What do you think? So there's something going on there, which is really valuable. But then I think we've got to be very, very careful, because we tend to have souls of all different levels, as I mentioned. And I think a very important part of evolvement in this, in just being here on this planet, is to meet each other where we're at. Because I think if you have an argument against someone who's a nursery school person, right? Let's say you're in middle school, and they don't understand what you're saying. They don't understand this is the way it is. They don't get it. If you're going to be upset and say bad things, but you're not going to change them. It's going to enforce that bad behavior. Mm-hmm. So you have to give them something positive to look at, or a possibility of something else in order to grow. See? So you have to be positive, or give them some place to go to. But if we keep on putting people down, they're going to close their ears to it. They're not going to hear it. So it has to be the opposite way.
Yeah, meet them where they are.
Yeah, meet them where they are, no matter what situation it is. Family situations, partner situations, friend situations. You got to meet them where they're at. I mean, I just left a long-term marriage, 23 years, and I'm really honored myself. I don't know if I could have done it 10 years ago, but I honored myself enough to know, listen, we've grown in different ways. We're souls come to learn as much as they can from each other. Then might be time to move on, which it was. And I think that's great. And I think now, looking back, we both are happy with that. But we got to recognize that we're all at different levels. We learn differently. We all come with our baggage of the childhood, the past, so forth. And we got to look at all those things. And when you meet somebody, you got to realize you're meeting their whole history, their whole family, their whole lineage, not just them, but everything about it.
Everybody back there too. Well, okay, so people are joining us because they're consciously seeking spirituality. What would you like to say to anyone that's going to listen to us about how we each can do our part to shift the consciousness of the world, this collective consciousness, to help humanity wake up to its spiritual magnificence?
Sure. So I don't think it's something you do. I think it's something that is, really. I think consciousness just is. And there's a wonderful man. You might have heard of Thomas Campbell. You know Thomas Campbell. Love him. I'm taking a course next month. He talks about this lovely analogy. I love it, about the egg, the shell of an egg, and that we're all inside that shell, and the limitations, the ego, and fighting. But the consciousness is outside the shell. It's all there. We're just going to break open that shell just to see what's all available to us. So it's not, to me, it's not a matter of doing it. It just is. It's accepting that we are consciousness. We are consciousness. And consciousness is not a place. It's not, it's you are conscious. I am consciousness. Yeah. It's just levels of energy, of being. conscious being. So how are you going to be? And realizing conscious that you can be a very positive light. You can be a very strong influence just by your own self, by these little microcosm. You got to change the microcosm before you change the macrocosm. And I do believe that the microcosm will influence that macrocosm. So we just got to take responsibility, big word, for our own selves, for our thoughts, creating the life we want, helping as many people as we can, serving, bringing love, not fear into our space, but love. And I think spirituality, back to love, is really what that is. And not get to that fear level, not limit God. Listen, there's a conscience for fear. Sure, they can have that. It gets kind of boring. It's kind of limiting, not too fun. But I think that conscience of love and just being in that space, kind of all the time if you can. It's hard, but the more you practice it, you just get there. And I mean, I like you and I get along so well because we're both very similar in that respect. We can just be having a good old happy time, just being with ourselves, just in the car, not even speaking to each other. You know, it's that sort of feeling like you're there, and it's just that's it. It's no place to go. It's just you are that, and be true to yourself. You know, it's really important, Karen, that a lot of people have a hard time being true to themselves. They have a hard time, and I think it goes back to our childhood, being raised a certain way. You have to impress people. You got to behave a certain way to be loved. I think a lot of people still want that love. And I think we got to come to the realization that no one can fill that but ourselves. No one can love you more than you can love yourself. And what anyone thinks of you is none of your business, right? So you can only love yourself. And that's all the spirit world asks for. You know, do the best you can with what you have. Just do the best you can. And it's you know, magic drops or wand. Just be who you are and just love who you are. Love yourself more than anybody else could.
I love that. That is a great thing. And we're the one person that's never going to leave us. We're always going to be there for us. So why not love ourselves the most, right?
And be yourself. Everybody else is taken.
That's right. Oh, that's actually when I was really free. I was 49. That was just, you know, a moment ago.
Yes,
but when I absolutely just said, okay, I'm going to fully be me. I don't care what you think of it. And
wasn't it great?
It was the most freeing moment, and it has been ever since, right?
And I that was my mediumship, because when I came out in medium back in the 80s, and there was really no one out there on television, really rarely, there really wasn't. And I had to go through these slings and arrows of like the skeptics and all that sort of thing, and like these non-believers and cynics. Like, what is all this? And I had to come out, you know, to my family that I talked to dead people and friends of mine. And one lady thought I lived in a cult, so she stopped talking to my high school friends, stopped talking to me, said, "Are you part of a cult?" So, you know, that was, but I never thought back, because I thought, this is what I got to do. But that was something too, you know, you got to be yourself, and you got to be yourself because the world needs you. You know, people, I often say that the universe creates us uniquely. Everyone is like a snowflake. I said this down in your church. And it's we all have an important part to play. We might not know at the time what our part is, but it's a very important part, because the universe doesn't make accidents.
No. Well, you're one heck of a beautiful snowflake, James Van Praagh.
Thank you.
And I love melting into you all the time. And I really appreciate your time and what you brought. And I just know for you that you just enjoy your time there until we can all move about the cabin fully and freely and safely.
Yes, I'm growing my mustache back now that my
yes,
is over.
Yes, I know.
I miss my old self.
You'll never go back. You're going to be the new you with the new stash. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Karen. Anytime. It was easy.
Yeah.